Hi, welcome to Clutter Bravado.
Yes, and it's the energy. It's not just about the stuff.
So we should probably just get into it, right?
Let's go. And good morning to you.
And good morning to you. How are you?
I'm very well.
Yeah?
Enjoying the fall in LA with the 80-degree weather,
Yeah.
which is lucky.
You know, I got to, I'll tell you about this in a second, but I got to experience some fall a couple of days ago, like a week ago or so. Ooh, I missed it.
You missed it.
I did. Autumn is my favorite season. It's
Right.
also my birthday season.
Yeah, so the whole month is magical.
Yeah, season, birthday season.
It's not even a
It's
month.
from like the end of September all the way through the end of October. That's my birthday.
I know it's coming up fast.
Yes, it is. It definitely is. Anyway, how are you? What have you been up to?
You know, I got to enjoy the ocean in Malibu for a couple of days, and that was much needed. Made me realize how lucky we were to be in California. Made me very grateful for friendship and the ocean, and and not having any sharks around because I was trying to paddleboard and I was a desperate seal trying to get on that paddleboard. And if a shark had been by there, it'd be like, this is lunch. But
Yeah.
I'm here, so that was all good. It's like
Have you ever paddleboarded before?
No, I just
Okay.
thought that it would be a good idea
Yeah.
to try, but maybe I'm not that talented. I don't know. We'll try again, though. But yeah, in my wetsuit, I was like, oh, if there's any shark swimming by, I'm like,
Flying.
I'm flying by, yeah. You know. But it was gorgeous. And, we talk a bit about gratitude and being happy where we are. But, I have to say that being by the ocean in California in September was just absolutely magical. So shout out to you. We love New York to please stop over there being like, oh, yeah. But yeah, West Coast, best coast. Thank you very much.
You know, I've been hearing this thing that this is the best coast for a long time, and a lot more recently. I grew up in Wisconsin, and Milwaukee is right on Lake Michigan. And if you're at the beach, if you're at Bradford Beach in Milwaukee, and you look out over the lake, it looks like an ocean.
Right.
And I grew up calling that the best coast.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
That's very
Yeah,
cute.
you have the East Coast, the West Coast, and the best coast. And that was ours, and I loved it. Speaking of Milwaukee, I was in Milwaukee. I got to go home for my dad's 70th birthday party, and it was wonderful. It was really, really nice. I haven't been home I haven't been back to my hometown, which is much smaller than Milwaukee, which is like 7,000 people in the middle of cornfields on all sides. It's like lakes and cornfields. But I went back there for the first time in like 3 years, and I had such a great time. It was actually fall. Well, kind of. It was pretty warm like the first couple of days. But we had like getting to see my family, getting to see my sisters, and spending time in my hometown again is wild because it's growing like crazy. There are 2 entirely brand new neighborhoods that just popped up. Like the expansion is insane.
How far is it from Milwaukee?
It's about 45 minutes from Milwaukee, like south. And it was always like a really small place. Like, yes, we had some tourists there for sure. It's a great place that a lot of people vacation. I've mentioned on the podcast before that it's where a lot of people in Chicago will have their lake houses or their cabins and stuff. The bigger town that's like next to it is mostly known for the lake houses. That's where everyone sort of vacations. And ours is a little smaller. And now it's growing so rapidly. There are these huge houses that are just popping up overnight.
So are there huge houses like what we consider McMansions, or did they?
They're not McMansions, but they are all modern farmhouse.
Okay, cool.
Is that?
Okay,
I like it. I'm trying not to be judgmental of it,
Right.
but there are so many that have popped up. They've gotten rid of all of the trees in that area. So it's just this very suburban sprawl.
Right.
that doesn't have like the love and the character that a lot of
okay.
the rest of the town does. So in the town that I grew up in, there's a main drag that goes directly through from like one town to the next. It's a highway that I used to live on. And on that street, there are so many beautiful, beautiful homes.
Old homes?
Old homes. The one that I grew up in is from 1927.
Okay.
And all of the houses that are there, they're all pretty much from that era. There are a lot of Victorian houses, little craftsman houses. There's this beautiful like cedar shake home that's a couple houses down from us. A lot of different styles, but they're all so well crafted and well built. And the yards are almost overgrown. Like it has character to it. It has feeling to it. And seeing these new neighborhoods pop up so quickly,
Right.
and all of the houses look the same.
The same.
It's really, it's kind of heartbreaking. There's still the neighborhood, like the one that my parents live in now. It's adorable. It's been there for a long time. It's the house that my grandparents retired in. And it's this little ranch home. It's so cute. But I wanted to ask you a question, not about my little hometown, but have you ever been to Milwaukee?
So I don't, and I'm not that bad usually, but I doubt that I could point it out on the map.
You don't know where it is on the map.
No, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'll learn.
Yeah.
So, briefly, I did travel across the country, but southern route. So
Yes.
I'm more familiar with the southern states.
Okay.
Everything that's a little bit Midwest or North, I'm not as good.
Okay.
So I've never been.
I feel like we need to take a road trip there.
Okay.
Not a road trip. We don't need
Can
to
we
be in
fly?
the car. Yeah, we can fly. I was thinking about that. Like, I don't want to be in the car. No offense. We don't need to share a car for that many days. It's a long.
Yeah.
it's
No.
a
Yeah.
long trek.
And
Yeah.
yes.
Nope.
We'll fly. I mean, now that there are airplanes, we'll fly. It'll be
Now
just
that there are
fun.
airplanes, yeah.
It'll be just great.
But we need to hang out in Milwaukee for
Okay.
sure, because Milwaukee, I just spent some time there. I haven't been there about 2 years, maybe 3 years. It is so cool. It is so cool. It is a great city. And the time that I spent there, I lived there for 10 years. And I was in my 20s. I was being a little reckless while I was there. I wasn't really paying attention to a lot. But one of the things that I didn't realize how much I miss is the architecture. Have you ever heard of Cream City brick?
No.
Okay, that's what Milwaukee's known for. So initially when Milwaukee was built, they wanted to make it look a lot like Philadelphia. So they wanted a lot of brick. But the brick that they got was beige.
Ah.
Yeah.
Probably would like that better, I think.
It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. And a lot of the buildings, obviously over time, that brick will turn black or very, very dark. And then when you see a building that's been newly renovated and they pressure wash the whole thing and it's this bright, beautiful beige brick.
Oh, beautiful.
It's stunning. The skyline of Milwaukee. I forget how beautiful it is. It's a really beautiful city. And the homes, even the streets that I used to live on. So I lived on the east side for a long time because I was going to college there. And there are all of the homes that are on the streets near campus. Keep in mind, these are duplexes that have been trashed by college students for many years. Right. But all of them have built-in woodwork that is unmatched. There are built-ins in all of the dining rooms that are these beautiful cabinets and the sort of rippled glass in them and really like rich molding throughout the entire house. I had no idea just how much I would value the details.
Funny to look back now. Huh?
Totally. The character that city has and how it has somehow maintained that character even through a lot of the development that has happened. I just fell in love with it again. I fell in love with the city again. It's so beautiful. Now,
how's the weather in the winter?
I was just going to say. I was there in September. So I had a very different experience to what what it would be like to be there in January.
Right.
February. March is the worst. March is the worst there. because you get that one nice day.
Where you think that it's...
Yeah, where it's all of a sudden 60 degrees and you're like, oh, I can take my jacket off. There's that one day, it's usually a Sunday, and everyone will...
Is out?
Yeah, everyone's out. Everyone's out on the street. Everyone is going to a park. People are picnicking. Everyone's like exploring their neighborhoods like they haven't in months. And then 2 days later, it's sleet. It's slush on the ground. It's ice. It's cloudy. And the thing that I really can't handle when it comes to winter, and one of the reasons why I'm hesitant about potentially moving to New York, right? Is that I need color. I need color in my life. And here, you get color year round. I think February and March are the greenest months here.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But in the Midwest, from November through March, the only colors that you see in nature are gray, white, and black. That's it. And it's hard for me to find a lot of joy in that. I need colors. I need flowers sometimes. I need cacti. You know? I need a succulent.
It's interesting because, well, I didn't spend that much. I mean, I spent a bit of time in New York, obviously, but I escaped the winter month and was back here. Yeah. Going a little bit to Palm Springs and, being here and going on hikes. And then you look at, the weather in New York and it's, 28 degrees. And I mean, I grew up in the south of France, lived in California. I think that, at my age, I think I need to give up on the winter month on the East Coast.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I understand that.
I
also
have to be realistic. I love the
Yeah.
East Coast. I mean, and then what you describe is truly, it has the seasons and it's just fantastic because you have, that change of seasons, which we don't have as much here. But the payback of the winter, I'm like, yeah, I'll skip it.
I don't think I need it. I don't think I need winter anymore. I think I've outgrown.
Right. Grown winter.
Yeah, especially because it's also so dark.
Right.
I mean,
but it is beautiful when the seasons are changing and the fall and the spring. I have to say it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And then the summer here we take it a little for granted, or
we do.
Over there it's like it's a party because they know that they have 3 months to get all the vitamin D they can. So they just enjoy it maybe a little bit more. So there are pluses.
That's true.
I'll stay with cold when it's 55. I mean, hey.
Yeah.
You can wear a big coat when it's 55 degrees.
You can.
You can.
Yes.
I've done it. And I
have 2 faux fur coats in my closet right now.
Yeah. And,
you can wear it like one day.
Yeah. We're so mean. And we're just starting fall, and, whoever is going to listen to us in New York is probably going to be flipping us out. I'm sorry.
Honestly, listen. I understand how spoiled I am living in California. But let's also talk about one thing that I didn't bring up about my trip to Milwaukee. I got to see 3 of my close friends. Friends that I've known for a long time. All of them, all 3 of my friends that I hung out with, single homeowners. And one of them has a boat. One of them has a vacation house. All of them are able to live a very comfortable lifestyle, just having a regular job, a regular 9-to-5 full-time job, not having to bend over backwards and trying to hustle. And they own their homes. In California,
it's more difficult. It's just a little bit more difficult.
Their mortgage is
real.
half. One of my friends, their mortgage is half of what I pay for rent for my 1-bedroom apartment here.
All right. So this podcast will be recorded in Milwaukee.
We will be relocating to Milwaukee. The amount of house that you can get in Wisconsin versus what you can get in Los Angeles. Like if I could endure winter and if I could just suck it up and live there, I could be a homeowner right now.
Right.
For the cost of a down payment in Los Angeles, I could own an entire house in Wisconsin. I can't think about it too hard. It'll make me very sad. Anyway,
we'll go
let's
back
move on.
in. We'll move on. We'll go to Wisconsin in January and make sure that yes, no. But talking about the East Coast, we had it's fall season, so parties are happening throughout the city here, and obviously in New York even worse, or
Worse?
better, or however you want to describe it. I'm sorry, I'm really not in the East Coast mood today. But they had What's Next.
Oh, that's right.
200X. Our line is with RU's that just opened up. It's a showroom in Atlanta. They just opened up their showroom at 200X in New York. So it was exciting. And it went really well. It was super well attended. Cool lectures. And for us in LA, next week is Design Week or Design Day at the PDC. So that will be also going there and attending a few lectures by good friends. Jamie Ramafeld is having a talk on, so it's Wednesday. It's next Wednesday
the
evening,
Euler
right?
House.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you listen to this podcast, go get a ticket. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And the parties also, there's quite a few parties coming up with interesting exhibits and new artists, and so it's always that fun season going to art galleries. So that's gonna be exciting.
Being able to go to these events too, as someone who's so new to the industry, I've learned so much just from the spring market that I attended earlier in the year, and then coming to the fall market at the PDC. Really excited about that. The lectures are really informative and really helpful for someone who's just being a sponge and trying to learn as much as possible. Yeah.
And they're fun. They're always fun to attend. And I think that we're going there early. There are a couple cool lectures. Look at I don't remember off the top of my head the program, but I know that Martin is having a cool lecture. So it'll be fun.
Yeah. And we'll put a link to the event too. Okay. I have one last thing I want to share with you. And normally we do homework during this time. However,
it's my homework.
It's not your homework. It's stuff that you probably very much already know. But quick story. When I was about 13 years old, I discovered this book. And it was a book that my mom got before she moved into one of her early apartments. And it is a book about decorating. It's from 1981, I believe. And it's spectacular. And when I discovered this book when I was 13, I thought that I stumbled on, oh my God, this is the Holy Grail. This is all I ever need to know when it comes to decorating my home. Yes, there are mirrors. Yes, there's velvet. Yes, there a wall of mirrors, ceiling of mirrors, and a couple examples.
We have to bring that back. Just kidding.
Wow.
Yeah, no, yes, no. What was I thinking?
Oh, I need you to look through this book. So this is the decorating book by Mary Gilliatt, right? I have no idea the context of this book. I don't know.
But it was your...
Yes, this was my decorating Bible as a teen.
So you know what that reminds me of? You know all those cooking books from that period?
Yes.
Where it's all
Jell-O?
magical, but a little out of date.
Yeah,
oh my.
Yes.
Oh yes. And the photos it's just the most charming. So I'm sorry for people who are on the podcast. You have to imagine those photos that, they are from the 70s and 70s and 80s.
70s and 80s.
And it just has that nostalgia. Oh, it's so fantastic. Oh, it's so fantastic.
Is that wicker in the living room?
Yep.
It is.
It is. So, no, I'm not going to say that. My first studio, I had wicker.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
It's debatable.
So I've been considering a lot lately what my personal style is and how I would describe what my style is. And while, yes, it is very much informed from the modern silhouettes, I really like a lot of your work, the Kimberly Denman furniture that is very modern and very sculptural. I do find so much inspiration in that. What I will say also is that my grandmother's home, before my parents moved into the house, my grandmother had these chairs that were this really loud rose floral print, really heavy mahogany and wood everywhere. A lot of the things that are really vintage inspired that my grandmother really loved in her home are not necessarily things that I would use in my home now, but are things that are informing what my taste is.
Right.
So there are certain motifs that I find really beautiful. And I've mentioned this before, I think in our episode with Adam Hunter, but I'm really inspired by farmhouses. A lot of like Amish traditional furniture, love it. I think it's beautiful, but not going so deeply into that specific style that it feels dated.
Right.
Yeah. So adding certain modern elements to that. There's a designer that I feel like does that really, really well. Have you ever heard of Tess Interiors?
No.
I encourage you to look her up, and we're probably going to reach out to her because I adore her.
Okay.
But I'm really into her style. I would say that she's probably someone who blends that sort of modern edge and also this very traditional country almost feel to it. It does it in a really palatable and really livable way. And I'm really fascinated by her. So I encourage you to look her up. But I'm glad that you got to take a look at my
I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna read it. It's just like it brings back all kinds of memories.
Oh yes.
I'll pull out some of my old books for the next
Yeah?
episodes. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I love it. Well, we should probably get to our guest. So we interviewed Marianne Murphy.
Yeah.
And Marianne Murphy, who's a very dear friend of ours, who's an incredible designer. She's had a line of candles as well. She has a experience in fashion, and she's fascinating. She travels and she adventures, and just the way that she lives her life, I just look up to. I fangirl over her for sure.
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that.
I just love her so much, and we had a great conversation with her. So I think,
and she's just her personality, her taste, it's just impeccable. And her fashion taste, it's like
her fashion taste.
She's so elegant.
Yes.
Oh.
So elegant. She's elegance embodied. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Welcome to Clutter Bravado. We have today Marianne Murphy. Hello, darling.
Hi, sweetheart.
Oh, a very good friend of mine, a friend of ours, and an incredible interior designer who has a beautiful life story that I mean, you're just such a fascinating and incredibly stylish woman.
Live a long life.
Oh, I adore you. How are you feeling today?
I feel good.
Yeah?
I feel good. Yeah, I feel good.
Where are you coming from? What is your mood like? How did the day start for you?
My day started about 5 a.m. as always.
Okay.
Because I have to deal with my East Coast projects. And, I get up. I love that quiet in the morning. I have my coffee, only 2. No more. And trust me, no more. I have 2, and I do my emails, and I catch up, and I definitely do a little social media snooping and looking around. And this morning it was all about, of course, the political stuff coming up.
Yeah, naturally.
So, of course, so excited. And that's my morning, usually like every morning.
Waking up at 5 a.m., you do that too.
Mm-hmm.
I need to get there.
Well,
I'm such a night owl.
When I lived in New York, if I was up at 5 a.m., it was a completely different story.
Oh,
so it was a long time ago, and if I heard a bird chirp, I was like, I gotta get home. Because you just life in the 80s. It's just I love that first sound, that first light. I love the first light, and I love the last light of the day. Yeah, it's my favorite.
The dawn and the dusk. I like the idea of like rising with the sun and then like setting with the sun as well. Like now I don't have to do any more work. I can relax. Once it starts to get dark out, that's not me.
That's not you, though.
That's not me.
That's
Are you a night owl or a day?
I'm
Which do you
I'm
prefer?
absolutely a night owl. If it were up to me, my daily schedule, I would wake up at 10 a.m. and go to sleep around 3 a.m. I'm not going to lie. I do that sometimes.
Yeah, you
still.
still do it.
I still do that.
Yeah, my boyfriend's the same way.
yeah.
I'm super quiet in the morning because he might sleep until, 10 as well.
Yeah, I understand it. It's just hard for me to wake up at that time. But also at night, I feel like I get the same thing. That
I
you
get
get
text or emails at 2 a.m. What do you think about that? And I'm
not at 2.
I'm
At
not
like
thinking
1.
that at all.
1, okay.
At like
fine,
1. There's a-
anyway,
Oh,
I
you're
get them-
splitting
I get
hairs
them
now.
because-
You're splitting hairs because anything past
Exactly.
midnight to 5
Okay,
a.m.
okay,
is
that's
about the
fair.
same.
That's
And,
fair.
and anyway, I get them at 5 a.m. because I don't get
Yes.
them when you send them. But I look at the time, so I'm like, yep, okay. I agree with you, Elise. And I'll wait your answer until 9
So
a.m.
you need to
because I'm
text
like,
her back at, no.
yeah, because I'm
Like
like, I'm
9.
not gonna be mean at 5:15. Be like, yes.
I love that there's no one speaking.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
And if
Yes.
anyone else is up at that hour, I'll be chatty because I wake up like
Yeah. You're just bright and
I
sunny in
wake
the
up.
morning.
I do. I wake up super happy and enjoying my morning, and
So here, there's an interesting in this neighborhood. We probably have, I don't know, 10,000 crows living in the neighborhood.
love crows.
So they show up at 7 p.m. and then at 5 a.m. that's when they start waking up, and it's so noisy.
Yeah.
But somehow now I'm like, I wake up and they're out there, and there's an energy that it's not beautiful. But there's an energy there, and I'm like, you know what? It starts my
Yeah.
day, and I'm like, I'm in acceptance. It's not very pretty. It's kind of loud, but it gets me like.
We have parrots in
Oh,
Beverly Hills,
yes.
Oh.
and parrots are
loud.
super loud.
Yeah.
And I love them. They love to congregate, and there could be 50 up to like parrots, tons of them.
Yeah, they- Whoa.
But it's only a couple times a year.
I thought that those were only in Pasadena. I knew that they were
Oh
in
no,
Pasadena.
Palisades,
Palisades.
Beverly Hills, in
Whoa.
all of that, all that region from the Palisades. When you're hiking, you'll see them, and then into Beverly Hills, and I'm sure, obviously to Pasadena,
Yeah.
so they're kind of
They're kind of all over.
they're kind of everywhere.
And what's interesting is that, so here we have crows, and at the workshop, which is, not in the greatest neighborhood, we have doves.
Doves,
Like morning doves?
Yeah.
I love the sound
And
of morning
I'm like,
doves.
this is
yeah.
incredible.
It's the
I'm close
best.
here, and those are.
I love birds. I love birds.
I love the sound of morning doves so much.
Yeah.
They're
And
really
there's
fun there.
there's a family of them that they travel in like 3, and they'll either be like sometimes across the street all hanging out together, or they hang out in my driveway sometimes, or they just like peck around.
Yeah.
But I love the way that they sound. That's
Well,
really beautiful.
I'm a big hiker, so we hike literally all over the world, and you can be hiking and have eagles flying overhead, and up in Franklin Canyon there's a ton of hawks, and in Malibu there's a ton of hawks too.
Yeah.
So, and that just makes my day when I see
What's your
hawks.
favorite hike in LA?
Ooh. Okay, so my favorite hike in LA is very challenging. It's if you go to Los Leones off of Sunset in the Palisades, but instead of going to the right, which is where everyone goes, go down the water ditch and go straight up the face of the mountain. And that's challenging as can be. That's my favorite hike. I mean, I love Baldy, but Baldy is just too far. I'm not driving to San Bernardino when I can.
Right.
I will, and I've done it for the Heroes Walk, which is also challenging. But I love that. I love all of Solstice Canyon. I love all of the Malibu hikes, all the Palisades hikes. But if you need a quickie, obviously, who doesn't? right there in Beverly Hills, Franklin Canyon is amazing.
Franklin Canyon is really, really nice.
It's just it's quick. I mountain bike that as well
Mm-hmm.
from my home. I ride up there and mountain bike, and I love it. He's in LA. It's just the best.
Yeah.
It's the best.
That's one of the reasons why I stay in LA now, because we're also both from the Midwest.
Oh, yeah.
So
never going back.
You're from Chicago.
Yeah.
I'm from Milwaukee. Like, the one thing that I don't think that I can leave behind is being able to go into nature so easily, and also all year long.
It's so important.
All year long.
For me, it is. I lived in Chicago. I love Chicago. Shout out to Chicago.
It's a great
I
city.
was raised in Kansas City, and then spent the 80s in New York. I just love a big city.
Mm-hmm.
LA is the best of everything because you can walk outside on any day, even if it's a little misty. I mean, we got a lot of rain last year. Thank God finally. But normally, even if you can hike on any day, you can be outside in nature on any day. And if you know Chicago and if you know New York, you really,
I know.
Central Park doesn't count.
Can't really. No, Central
And,
Park doesn't count.
You know, it does. It counts because it's beautiful and it's
It is.
It
amazing.
counts because it's the only place that did. So
Yeah.
There's no
I have
mountain
to be
there.
honest. I didn't start hiking here until really late. We spent some time in New York,
Yeah.
and I started walking in Central Park because obviously
it's
it's
fantastic,
the only place
though.
really where
Yeah.
there's a little bit of trees, which
I walked
I was
across it
taking
every
for
day when
granted
I lived
here.
there.
And I was like in awe of Central Park. I was like, look, it's so pretty. And then I started hiking here, and I'm like, Mother Nature right here is just, created.
Yeah, right.
She's showing off.
She's
here.
showing
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
here.
Oh, yeah, she
I'm-
is.
I'm,
She is.
I'm a big hiker now.
Well, just every area of California you can, so nerding out here for a second, on planet Earth, there are 24 very distinct climate changes from Arctic to the rainforest. Those are the only two, by the way, that don't exist in California. 22 of the 24 extreme climate changes exist. I mean, think about this.
Yeah.
This
Right.
stretch. We have
Yeah.
everything in between. We have everything.
I love that about
Isn't that
California.
and that's a fun fact about
Yeah.
California, that you can be in the desert. It's the only place you can wake up in the morning. I don't surf, but I do paddleboard, and I do scuba dive. So you could dive in the morning, take off your gear, get in the car, drive to Mammoth or whatever, and still get in a ski run.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah,
That's
all
one
in
of
the
those
same
things
day.
that I like. If I ever do decide to leave Los Angeles, I'm going to do that first. Like, I have to just it's a bucket list thing. But
Yeah.
but I love going up to the mountains.
Yeah.
That's where I clear my head. So when
It's
I
meditation.
start to feel really overwhelmed, I can drive 45 minutes up to the top of Mount Wilson. No one is around. I can just be in the mountains.
And so much inspiration
yeah.
for work. I mean, I hike every week. I mountain bike every week. I street ride every week. But I moved here specifically because I would come here on these hiking trips just to get away from life, and be able to shut it down.
Yeah.
Just shut down the noise. You come here and you experience something different. People think that California, especially Los Angeles and the Beverly Hills area, which is where I live, they think it's one thing. And it's not that at all. It's not that at all. It's the most creative I've ever been, is here in California. And I think it's because I'm not pissed off in traffic all day,
Right.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
big cities, you're in traffic, and you don't get to have that. And I love to sit in my garden, and just be,
Yeah.
which is something that I don't think we get to do enough of. Just
Yeah.
be.
Yeah. And the stillness of just like
Yeah.
taking a pause. And that's really where inspiration comes in. You can't allow yourself to be creative and be inspired if you're
Yeah.
always so stressed out or having to run from one thing to the next. At least not
Exactly.
for me. So I want to talk to you about that too. Like, what are like certain specific things that have inspired you, and like what came from that? Like, do you have something that you can say, I had this experience and then it turned into this?
Well, I started, my early career was fashion. I worked in high fashion in New York. And I still think of that. That's still my go-to in my head with spaces that I design, homes that I design. The thought is there long before it's ever created. And sometimes I have to drop that creative idea to my clients a little, over and over before they go, oh yeah, I want to do that, because I can see what the potential is for every space. And, I did the Saudi royal family's home, here in Beverly Park, and I've done amazing homes all over the Midwest, and now I'm doing a lot of work in Florida, and it's just so fun to walk into any space and immediately I see what I want to do, and then I want my clients to also see what they want to do. I love when we're able to collaborate somewhat. I don't ever want anyone to walk into a space and go, this looks like a Marianne Murphy space. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
I think that everyone's home should reflect them, original art, family photos, books, things that, and sometimes you have to pull that out of people.
Yeah.
So the creative thought process for me starts literally, if it's a home, it starts at the driveway. It starts at the gate. It starts long before you ever get in the home. You start that thought of what's the experience going to be like for this client. I have a client in Chicago who has an amazing home, and they've bought properties, in their adjacent, to their home, and for a few years, I kept saying, why don't you have an experience, take part of the yard, and let's have an experience where you walk from one space in the interior of the home to an exterior space that's completely glass and enclosed. And like, imagine sitting there and watching the snow fall down. And, I had Rug Company do a rug for me that then I called it Reflections, where the tree that's above this now amazing room, which is about the size of this room, the branches left a shadow, and I designed a rug with the Rug Company to reflect that.
Wow. So
that space, it's just such an incredibly beautiful space, and all white bronze staircase, and it's just it's phenomenal, and I would love to show you, but my clients are very private. I like that. I like being able to take a space. I have a client that has a home on a ridge in Michigan, and they had this really nice drop down to the beach. And over the last 20 years, the beach has decided to go away for a while. It'll come back, but for now it's gone. So let's build this amazing space where you can walk down to and have another experience on your property. And I love that.
Yeah.
I'm looking here. There's so many different areas within your space, Laurent, to be able to have a different experience within your space. And I love that. I love that. I love the big open modern. I've always loved that. And, I've been doing this for 35 years. And now I kind of like the idea of smaller spaces within large spaces that interconnect, but that you can have a private conversation. You can walk away. And I do love a big open space. Don't get me wrong. I guess I'm just trying to say I like it all.
I love that you said that, though, about
I like it all. I do. I like it all. I like it all. I like everything well done. That's it.
That's it.
That's it. Yeah, I like everything. I like music. Everything. I heard this morning I'm polyamorous because it means you like every genre of music. And I'm like, I think I'm polyamorous.
The one thing that I really loved that you brought up is that when you're designing for someone's home, you want their personal things in the home. Like, you design with that in mind, with their photos of the family and things like that. Like, that's, to me, what really makes a home.
And it does happen in this business where people say, I'm not bringing one thing with me. I don't want anything from my past. I want an all-new experience. Or in some cases, and I have several clients who have 3, 4 homes. So, but you still need to draw that out. In my opinion, I like to draw that out. And what books do you like to read? I don't read books. Okay. What are your interests? And then I'll buy the books from that interest. You know what I mean? Where are your family photos? How about if I send you somewhere to do black and whites? Oh, you're single. Okay. How about, and if you just ask enough questions, you get to suss out that personality.
Yeah.
And the best thing is, when you hear back from family and friends, oh my God, that looks just like, that seems just like, that feels just like, that's what I always, thought this would look like. That's my high.
Yeah.
That's my jam.
I love that.
It's interesting that you said that, because last weekend I went to one of those new shops. It's a record shop, so they have record. They have the
Vinyl.
the vinyls.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at it, and they have Sade is playing on one of, and it just sounds so spectacular.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need that.
Don't you remember that?
I know. And it just-
My boyfriend plays vinyl. I don't have vinyl, but he does. And I remember as a young person, lugging around those milk crates filled with vinyl, filled with them, and they'd get a skip in them, and then you'd just die. And I think I replaced my Cat Stevens album, Cats in a Cradle, probably 5 times.
Oh.
Because I would listen
such
to
a
it
good
over and
album.
over. It's such a good album.
It's such a good album.
And any of the Fleetwood Mac, and
yeah.
we could sit here and talk music forever because
We could.
love
I
that
will
too.
say that the record that I fell in love with at first, I have this.
Are you old enough for records?
My dad had
Oh,
a
there we go.
massive
I was going to
record
say you're
collection
young.
and got me into it when I was really young. He
Yeah.
would never let me touch them. By the way,
because they scratch easy.
I am firmly an adult. I'm firmly in my 30s. My dad still will not let me touch his record collection. Right? So any of the
I get it too.
any of the albums that
I have a 22-year-old. I totally get it.
any
Don't
of the
touch my
albums that
shit.
I really loved, I went out and bought them. But the one that
What was the first one you bought?
the first record that I bought, I think, was Asia by Steely Dan.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then Hotter Than July by Stevie Wonder.
Did you hear him last night, by the way?
What?
He
Oh,
performed
at the DNC.
At the
Oh,
DNC, he
yeah.
performed last night.
Oh, I wish I could have caught it. I
Amazing.
haven't checked it out yet. No.
Oh, you'll see it on YouTube. It'll be
I
everywhere.
did have
Yeah.
one opportunity to see him perform live in a very small venue, which it's a story for another time.
Okay.
But it was a wild experience. I did not expect that I was going to see Stevie Wonder or that I would be like this far away from him, like standing at the piano where he was
how
playing.
awesome.
Absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
I'm a big
Oh,
big
yeah,
Stevie
how could you
Wonder.
not
I mean,
be?
how can you not be? But
I mean, think about the breadth of his work.
oh my gosh.
What a talent.
What a talent. Oh.
And the longevity, because it's it's
Yeah.
amazing to be thinking that they were in the 50s and they're still
And they're still.
um,
So I think I looked up his age last night, and he's obviously older than me, but not by as much as I thought. I was like, oh wow.
he
Yeah.
started so young.
He started so.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't remember a time that I didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
And that's there's a couple of people like that. Elvis, of course, but there's a couple of people like that. You're like, I don't remember not ever knowing that. Pretty like Diana Ross, like
Yes.
like you don't remember a time
Yeah.
where she wasn't a presence in our music, in mine at least, in my vernacular.
Yeah. To bring it back to design, I guess.
Yeah, but that's all.
So-
That's all. That is all intricate.
Totally. And
It's
in
all
my,
intricate.
My living room right now, like I was just saying, like talking about it yesterday, how I did not like that room at all until very recently. But I was gifted a record player, and so when I started, like
right
I
on.
had a record collection before I had a record player, but I got a record player, and that area with like my my it's a small stack. It's only like this big of a stack of records. But that area just feel like when I'm in a certain mood, or when I do wake up early in the morning, I love to put a record on because I don't want to have my phone on.
A candle, music.
Yeah, it's so peaceful.
Scent and music.
Yes. Yeah, and like for me, again, I'm listening to Steely Dan in the morning.
But that's design.
It's the vibe.
Yeah.
Like when you, it fits in with the feeling of home, the feeling of this is the space in which I live. This is where I'm having my life experience, where I'm experiencing my emotions. And sometimes certain areas of my house will match that or create a safe space for me to feel
100%.
If I'm, my office area, I'm like just now reorganizing and putting it together. Because when I created it, I wanted something that was going to feel like really focused, and I painted the walls really dark and put only like the light part like behind my desk. And now I hate that. I want more light. I want it. Yes, exactly. So I'm like, ooh, what can I do now? Yeah,
change it.
Exactly. I love that it can change. I love that I always do something new.
One particular client, I think I've redone her entire home 5 times.
Oh, that's great.
Over the course of 30 years, of course. But, she likes everything fresh. I like it fresh. We started out with one baby. Now all the children are grown and through college. And, you just evolve with an update and change. You don't have to get rid of this.
Yeah.
But wouldn't this be beautiful in lavender? You know what I mean? Mohair, pink. Love it.
Pink
and
mohair.
And your taste, I love when someone says, well, you didn't feel that way 5 years ago. Well, good.
Yeah.
Good. I changed my mind. I grew. I expanded. I decided to try something different. I don't like the same thing.
Yeah.
Always. I get sick of sushi after a while. You know what I mean? Love it. Got to take a break.
Yeah.
Want to change it up.
Exactly. Oh, I love that you said that too, because there feels like there's this sort of finite thing for me, like experiencing designers' work, because it's a photograph. So I'm seeing a photograph, or sometimes I'll like go to a place and I only see it as being that way.
Yeah.
And so my mind's eye remembers it as, oh, it looks like this. Or this is that person's style. But what I really love about like continuing to learn is like, oh, everyone is evolving. The designer is evolving. The homeowner is evolving.
Well, hopefully.
The spaces.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you do walk into time warps, all the time. And you're like, oh my God, how long have you lived here? I redid a home in Beverlywood not that long ago. I don't think it had been touched in 30 years, maybe 40. And I got to work with the client, and she was so thrilled to death to get to finally redo everything. And it really looks like her. It's still very traditional, which I hadn't done in such a long time. When I started my career in Chicago in the 90s, people were still very, very traditional. And I hadn't gone back to visit that world, I love eclectic, I love classic, but traditional, I hadn't played in that. It was kind of fun just to do something different. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun just to try something different, that I hadn't touched upon in a really long time.
I started with, I was known for 18th century French. I haven't played in that field in a while.
Oh,
that would be interesting to get back
to. Remember, Biedermeier was such a big... I have a client that moved from the Palisades to Palm Springs, and they had this beautiful home in the Palisades, Palisades Brentwood. Anyway, and she had these Louis gold fabulous chairs from blah 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 17 whatever, and that she bought from Sotheby's for a fortune, and couldn't understand that there was absolutely zero market.
Right.
Zero. Like, why can't I sell these? There's right now, put them in storage, wait, maybe.
I mean, if you love them, that eventually.
Yeah,
but
just use them.
It's a funny But it's interesting that you talk about evolution. We had a previous guest that talked about curiosity. You know, I think that's one of the line in our industry is evolution. It's because that's what makes it magic. I mean, in my opinion, that's what makes our film magical.
Yeah.
Because there's always something to learn. There's someone new. There's, you know,
100%.
And you know, and Marianne is
100%.
again that same thread.
Yeah.
And I love that you said that because it's just key.
It's so much fun to revisit my past of the work I've done, and to go, the hell was I thinking? You know what I mean? Like, because at that moment, it was valid.
Yeah.
At that moment.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about what we get to do. We get to create these amazing spaces and then redo it later. You know, nothing stays the same.
The first time that I learned about that, like, evolution and like how things are constantly changing, because again, I'm so new to this industry, but I had started working as an assistant for a designer, and when I first started working for her, she was like putting together this mood board, and there was a certain silhouette that was on there that I'm like, ooh, I love that. She's like, this is my favorite thing, and I love it in like this fabric and in this color. We need to, like, you know, so we were putting together this entire vibe, and I that was one of the first like presentations that I worked on. And 6 months later, she's like, oh God, I just don't even want to look at that. Like, I can't even stand the way that that looks anymore.
That way.
And it was 6 months, and I'm like, that's a fast turnover. But I saw how things get really, really popular when something is really nice.
Gets saturated.
Yes, it gets oversaturated.
It just gets saturated.
And then everybody wants to try. So, like, what if I did something completely different from that? And that's what's so fun about this, though.
Well, do you remember? It just popped in my head. But do you remember that scene in Devil Wears Prada where Anne Hathaway has on a shitty little sweater?
Yes.
And Meryl Streep says, "You think you are so creative." It's 5 years old, darling. You know, we created Yves Saint Laurent or whomever she was talking about created that azure color, and it trickled down into the little trashy bin that you pulled it out of.
Yes,
exactly.
I love that scene.
And that's really, you know, people pull their inspiration from everywhere, and always have. You know, it's very rare that you see an original thought, and you're like, mind blowing. Oh my God, that's so original. Oh my God, that's so fantastic, because you see variations on the same theme, and you know, I did a furniture line, and I did come up with something very original. It was outrageously expensive, and I think the designer, Joan Benke, was the only person that could even sell it, because it was so, she's amazing, by the way. You should get Joan. She's
wonderful.
Amazing designer. Amazing designer, by far one of my favorites. And not just because she bought my merchandise. But just to be able to see something that's different and fun, and
we should probably get to our 3 questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Three whole questions. I think I can answer. I can only answer 3. That's it.
Okay, so first question: what is the messiest place in your home?
Oh my God, it's my closet.
Yeah.
And it's only because there's so much shit. You know, I went from a really big dressing room to a smaller dressing room, and I get rid of stuff. I do. I am on speed dial with the real and detached with love, and it doesn't matter because I have an illness, and I'll just replace that space. I'll replace it within months. First, I'm like, this is so nice. I have a little bit of room, and I'm talking a little bit of room.
Yeah.
Now it's like it's coordinated,
Of course.
but it's jammed.
Yeah.
It's just, and I have that one drawer in my kitchen that becomes the catch-all for just like, I don't want to see that, no one needs to see that, or my checkbook's in there, blah, 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 you know. But it's just one drawer. I'm super anal.
Okay.
Like super tidy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I relate.
Okay.
Very, very
I love
organized.
that. I love it.
Okay. Second question.
Okay.
What is your favorite place, either in your own home or in a home that you've designed?
Wow, it's really tough. I love my bedroom in my home. I love. I have a client who has a home in Michigan, and I absolutely love that home. It is just the feeling, the vibe, everything about it. And I'm lucky that I get to go there, not often, but often enough that it calls to me. I love that. And I also love, can I mention a hotel?
Yeah.
I love La Reserve in Paris. I love the library. I could just spend the entire day in the library at La Reserve. I'll have another cappuccino. Just hanging out in that space. It's my favorite. Yeah. And I love anywhere in Como. Anywhere in Como. But the tower in Villa d'Este is my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I need to be traveling more then. I'm gonna check that out.
Oh God.
I want you to put together a list for me.
I
so
also
can
love
go.
the jungle. I love the jungle in Raja Ampat, West Papua New Guinea as well. Love the jungle. Like just to be, I mean, I love any jungle, but I love being in the jungle.
Because of sound, smell, everything?
The jungle in Papua is so crazy that you've never been anywhere like it in your life. You can't compare it to anything. It's just crazy dense. If you saw a dinosaur, you'd go, "Oh yeah, that makes sense. That makes total sense." Trekking in Mahale, Africa, back into Jane Goodall's camp where the chimps are. I can't even explain what that was like. Like just being in that type of dense nature that does it for me. That's my favorite. Wow. So I can't have
Right.
one place.
You're a poly.
I'm
I'm
poly-travel-y.
I think that if I went there, I would want to bring back a candle. I assume the smell in the jungle must be something there that's magical.
It's so very. I don't drink, but my boyfriend is a wine aficionado by far. So I'll smell, and I get those notes, and everywhere I go, I have a candle brand at Neiman Marcus and at Saks and several hundred other places, and I didn't even know I could do that. Thoughts become things. Be careful. Be careful. You go down the rabbit hole and create all kinds of shit. But I love that ability to walk through the forest and smell scents that you've never smelled before. Things that you're like, what is that? And then you just stop on hikes here in California. If you're out on the trail and sage, and once it hits about 90 degrees, sage starts to kind of burn, and it's nature's candle scents. You get that, and then there's a bright yellow little flower.
Oh, I know what.
I forgot what the name of it is. It's insanely good. But sage, rosemary, lavender. If you've been to Provence, you know what it feels like.
I was going to say that my favorite moment, I think, in my life is that turn of spring to summer. The sound of the cricket, the sound of the cricket, the smell. It starts to smell like the sea. I'm from there, so it's like you. Yeah.
What area of France are you from?
I'm from Cannes.
Ah, okay. So right outside of Cannes, there is that in Moustier, there's the honey and the lavender mix in the air, and you're like, what the hell? You can't jar that.
No.
You cannot.
It just gets in it's in your brain, and you just go back there. I go back there once in a while, and I'm like this 8-year-old going out, and it's really fun.
Honey in the air I've tried. I can't capture it. I've tried. I created a scent when I got back from Africa for my scent line called African Travels or something like that. I forgot what. And there's one called Smoke that when you're on safari, they pick up elephant dung and they burn it. Dried dung, they burn it to keep the tsetse flies from biting you.
Okay.
And it's going to sound crazy, but it's an amazing scent.
Really?
Like, I know. Because elephants only have one chamber in their stomach.
Yeah.
So when they eat, it's out. So it still smells like sweet hay.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So Hide and Smoke was created from that. And, you don't want to tell people that
Yeah.
you're
Right.
something that was inspired by elephant poop.
Elephant
But it's
poop, yeah.
elephant poop. Because in my mind, I was like, and it's not. Obviously,
Yeah,
I could
yeah.
never I could, just from memory, Hide and Smoke, and then all the proceeds went to the water causeways in Africa and helping to keep them from being shut down.
And you said those are available at
Neiman Marcus and Saks and a gazillion places. Candle Delirium right here,
Okay.
or iconicscents.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shout out to Candle Delirium for anybody who's in LA. I love
Yeah,
that store.
aren't they? They're the best, aren't they? Yeah, Anthony and Bryce just do such a great job. Such a
I
great
love
job.
that store.
Yeah, well, it's the largest candle emporium in the for sure in the United States, but it might be even in the entire world.
Is it
There
really?
might be places in the Middle East that would be maybe,
It's
but I don't know.
just-
I've never seen anything like it.
Just magical.
I
No.
need to go over there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no,
Over
no,
there.
no. Everyone needs to, because everything you're ever looking for and anything that you didn't know you even
Yeah.
wanted to look for is there. Candles. All
yeah,
candle and
yeah.
scent. All candle and scent. Amazing.
I need to find a signature scent for my
Why?
home. For my home.
On
For certain
Monday, you
areas.
can have one. On Tuesday, you can have another,
I've never, it's just
But I
so
love
Yeah,
it.
no,
magical.
I change it up
personally,
all the
love
time.
it. Like any place that I've lived, I'll have like one kind of incense or something so that like when I come home and I light that, it feels like I'm at home.
What's your favorite scent?
That's a really good question. I
Are you earthy? Are you sweet? Are you savory? Are you
tend to be a little spicy.
okay?
So like I like something that has a note of some black pepper, some tea.
Ooh.
I love
You would
sandalwood. I
love-
love Palo Santo.
I'll send you over my rose. The back note of that is pepper.
Ooh.
So-
Rose and pepper, absolutely. There was this one
Yeah.
oil that I was given as a gift in Milwaukee. There was this guy that would travel. He traveled all over the world, and he went to this coffee shop that I went to. And there was one time that he was going to, I believe he was going to Turkey, and he said, he's like, is there an aroma that you like? And I said, maybe amber. And he
Oh,
brought
yeah, of
back
course.
it was a rose, tobacco, and amber oil.
Yeah.
And I
Do you still have it?
no, I don't.
Ah.
I used every drop of it. It was empty, and I was like putting it on myself because you
Oh,
could.
yeah.
I mean, the aroma was still on there. I wore it for like 5 years. It was my
your
aroma, and I
signature-
never found it again.
And you don't know anyone going to Turkey?
I mean, I don't even know what to because he brought it back in like this little beautiful bottle.
Ask your friends who's going to Turkey. Like, just try to duplicate
Yeah.
it.
Oh, I need to. It was amazing. But yeah, so something that's like really rich, really warm, a little bit spicy.
Got
but
it.
I also love rose.
Well,
yeah.
it's not your grandmother's rose, even though
No,
I
yeah,
created it with
yeah.
my grandmother in mind. That was the first scent I created. Just, I think I'm going to do this. And I created this scent. And I remember walking into Neiman's, and the manager, Gretchen Pace, who's an unbelievable friend of mine, she said, "What are you wearing? What are you wearing?" And I said, "I'm playing with this idea. I'm creating this thing just for fun." And she said, "Keep going. You got something.
Ooh.
Keep going." And
Yeah.
that little bit of encouragement, I ran with it. Thoughts become things.
Thoughts become
Choose the
things.
good ones. Choose the good ones.
Yes.
Yeah. My friend Holly Jacobs taught me that. Thoughts become
Yeah.
things.
That's how we started this, I guess.
Yeah. Well, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
You had a thought. And
I had a thought. I had a fun idea. I'm like, I should do something with that. And
Yeah.
then here we are. And here
What
you
a
are.
beautiful thing that as Well, for me, as a sober adult, I can fail forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can try something and say, I'm not sure that's working anymore. Let me stop that. But I'll try this.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Oh, I pivot all the time. I make
Yeah.
little pivots. It's like sort of like when you're riding a bike. If you're going in a straight path this way, you're only going this way. But if you can make the tiniest little turn,
oh yeah,
and
you'll end up in
eventually
Mexico.
you'll end up in a completely different direction. Exactly. So
You'll end
it's
up
like
in
a lot
Mexico.
of little. I'm making a lot
Yeah.
of little turns, and it's
It's
fun.
the best.
Yeah.
It's the best. Just to be able to, I don't even know if self-correct is the right word. You know, self-direct.
Go with the flow.
Self-direct.
Yeah. Self-direct. Yes, I like that.
Not correct, direct.
Yeah.
Because it's intentional.
Yeah, I like
You
that a
know?
lot.
When I was young, it was definitely, I needed to self-correct and course correct. Now I can self-direct.
Yeah. I definitely try to stay on the path that's in front of me, but I don't try to pave it. You know what I mean?
Well, it depends on the path. If the path sucks, I'm getting off of it, you know. I don't stay on the,
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I like that.
But, you know, when we're young, we hang on to everything. And I don't
Right.
do that. Now everything is,
Yeah,
it's all sand.
I love
It's all
that.
sand. You know,
We
if
have
it
to-
stays,
yeah.
it's lovely that it stays.
Yeah, we have to get back to our last question, so we
Okay.
can wrap up and we can have lunch.
Yum, I love to eat.
Yes. Okay, so my last question for you is, when you first walk into a space, and we just talked about sense a lot, so maybe it's this, but when you first walk into a space, what is the very first thing that you notice?
Is it a raw space or is it a completed space?
This is either, actually.
A raw space, I immediately start plotting where things are going to go. Like immediately I can walk through and I've had clients say, I saw the vision come to you immediately. Like, you know what I mean?
Such a
And you
thought.
start, it's so good. And you know the feeling. You walk through and you're like, this is going to do that, and that's going to do that, and this is going to, and I think there should be a doorway. I think those doors should be, you know, metal and glass, and I think this should, you know, and you start playing with it. And sometimes it works, and sometimes you have to course correct and change things. But I'm so happy that I have that talent to walk, and it really is a talent to walk in to a space and start laying it out immediately, and then drawing it out, and then putting it down on paper and seeing, does this really work? Does my vision work? And does my client share that vision? Because they need to be a part of it, in my opinion. And yeah. And what are the colors? And what's the
yeah.
texture? And, you know, what's the art?
Oh,
Yeah.
I like that.
How am I going to layer this?
Like walking in and seeing it right away.
Yeah, you do.
So cool.
Yeah. And sometimes you need to, you know, for a lot of clients, you need to get to a certain point and then let them be in that space
Yeah.
for a minute and then continue the work. And I think for a lot of my repeat clients, that's what works best for them. You know, to be able to be in a space. I'm sure your space didn't look like this the day you moved in.
Oh no, it evolves.
It's had many iterations.
It does.
I believe.
It evolves. And that's what
Yeah.
work does. Work evolves.
But
We evolve.
yeah, we evolve. I mean, we evolve. The only thing that we add in, you know, for me, it's I imagine a life. So it's like I see people, you know, I see
Oh
people,
yeah.
like either the family or their friends, and that's where I go.
Yeah,
For
you
me
have
a lot,
to.
where I'm like, there's a life in this space, and they're
Well, when you have
evolving, and
young
I'm
children,
just dream.
is
Yeah.
different than when you have, you know, elderly people in their house. You know, I just finished a woman, she sold her big home in Miami and moved to Boca, and making it so she didn't miss her old home.
Right.
She lived in that home for many years, and bringing some of the pieces and updating them and making them work
Right.
in this
For
new
the next
space
step.
Yeah.
for the next, I hate to, like the final stage of her life. You know, but how do you make that work so that people are comfortable in all stages,
Right.
stages?
Yeah,
Yeah.
'cause we've seen, you know, you've seen like in that same thing, or you know, but even like young couple that evolves to a family, or a couple that the kids are going out, and suddenly there's a completely different
I'm in that right now.
interaction.
My daughter just came home from college. She graduated. She's home for 1 year before grad school, and what's that look like?
Yeah.
I don't need a house the size that I have. I need a bigger closet. But, I don't need the space I have. And yet, I like that.
Yeah.
I like being able to work out of my guest house and have space to meander.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, so I'm in that inner conversation right
Yeah,
now.
like what is the next step of that
what am I doing
evolution?
next?
Yeah.
Yeah, because,
is that?
Huh?
So what does that look like for?
Well, she's home for a year, so I'm just going to be in the now, right now that I have my little baby girl home. If she hears this, she's going to be like, "Oh my God, Mom, shut up!" I just love that she's home and I get to see her, and yeah,
Oh, that's
it's awesome.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so
so much
much.
for inviting me to come and
Yeah.
chat. I like to talk, so.
We love
You've
you.
been such a joy to have on here,
Thank
Marianne.
you,
Thank
honey.
you so much
Thank
for
you.
being.
I hope I said anything interesting.
It
It
was
was fantastic.
so good. So
You're so
perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, what did you make for lunch?